Right guys, back in for episode number 2 or 3. We had the introduction delt session. Now we're doing chest and arms today. So I'll take you through the whole session like I did before. We're into week 3 of prep. Nothing much has changed, to be honest. I'm going to try not to ramble too much because I just want to get into the training, but nothing much has changed from the first food change. We had a food change yesterday for week 3. I think it brought us down to, I can't remember off the top of my head exact numbers, but a reduction in fats on both training days, rest days, and then a reduction in carbs as well. I think down to like 600 or 650 on training day. So that's kind of where we're at right now. That will get put in place today, so I need to go over it, make sure those exact numbers are right. But today will be the first day on that new lower food. But yeah, in terms of body weight drops, we dropped probably anywhere from 7 to 8 kilo in the last 2 weeks. So quite a fair bit. That's from like health phase numbers. So peak weight was 145 kilo, and that was like before the 6-week health phase. Obviously body weight's dropped a bit through the health phase, probably down to like 140, 142, and then today I was 134.5. So that's kind of where we're at in body weight. But training remains the same. Still just getting used to this new split, to be honest. It's only week 3 into it, so looking at easy numbers now. Logbook written out every morning to go in and progress. That's ultimately the goal is still that. So I will still write my progression numbers in there. So say if I got a set of 10 the week before, this week I want to get a set of 11. So I'm still looking at those little numbers, even in prep. Still working with that, and not just accepting the fact that, okay, we've had a massive body weight drop, food's low, let's just trail along and do what we can, pump work. No, we still want to progress for as long as we can, really. For me, that's what built the tissue that I've got right now in this last off season. The tissue is built by progressive overload and progressing every single set, every single session. So for me to hold on to that, my mindset is to keep that moving. Now, I'm fine with kind of maintaining sets. I'm absolutely fine with that. I wouldn't be fine with that in an off season, but I'm okay with that in this phase we're in now. So either maintenance or progression, that's kind of what we're looking like. But in terms of today, we've got kind of 2 main presses, 2 flies, so very similar to what I've been doing for years. And then we go into accessory work, so it's a nice session today. Get us in with a week, get a nice chest pump. Pumps are obviously harder to come by now, even though food's still high. It's not very high for me. I'm probably just over half of what I'd be eating normally in the off season. Off season carbohydrates about 950. I'm currently on about 650, 700. So pump's gonna be less. Fullness is definitely less. Definitely feel a lot deflated. I feel tiny. Deflated, flat, whatever you want to call it. Not flat because we still got carbs in, but you know what I mean. The feeling is deflated. So we're just cracking on. But yeah, we'll get into it today. Like I said, like I always do, I'll take you through sets, main sets, kind of tell you what's going on, give you a gist of what's going on. And yeah, today's just a training session, so enjoy. Hopefully you pick up some tips along the way. Yeah, we'll get into it. Oh. Yep. This is work. Next up we've got pec deck. So first fly movement in for today. 2 working sets, 2 top sets, 1 back off on here. It's pretty similar throughout the session in terms of top set, back off. Obviously main compounds, main lifts, we're looking at 1 top set, 1 back off. Things like flies, we can do, you know, a total of 3 working sets, whether that's 2 top sets, 1 back off, or 3 straight sets. They're all working sets. I tend, once I get into the session, so even now I'm moving 2, you know, I'm warmer than I was before movement 1. So I'm able to do a bit less warming up and priming for the set. You know, so the goal really is to go in as quickly as possible to my working weight, so that I'm not wasting energy, especially with being in a deficit now. You know, we need to utilise that food that we had yesterday into today's session. You know, don't waste it on warm-up sets. Don't be doing 10, 12, 15 reps for a warm-up set. You know, 1s, 2s, 5s if it doesn't feel too good. 5 max really. I tend to go, you know, 1 to 3 reps on warm-up sets, and then just go with feel really. And then I'll do my first working set when I feel ready. But like I said, it's usually as quick as possible, obviously without injuring yourself. But yeah, fly here, back into a press after this, back into a fly, 2 tricep movements, 1 bicep, and that would see us for today's chest day. Incline Smith press in now. Quite unusual that this goes in movement 3. It's normally a 1 or 2 first or second movement in the session. So it's different kind of feeling of how it moves. Obviously the load is slightly different as well than what I would use if I was doing movement 1 or 2. So 2, 2.5, and then we'll work up to 3.5 on this for a set, which will be all right. And then we've actually got three working sets on this, but the first set is a 6 to 8. Then we've got like a 10 to 12 and a 15 to 20. That's kind of how we're working. So kind of like a drop set, if you want to call it that, but with adequate rest in between. 3 sets for the whole movement, but split up, so they're not actually drop sets. So I kind of go 3.5 for 6, 3 for 10, 12, and then 2 for 15, 20. That's kind of how I've been working things right now. But like I said, it's different having it in movement 3 instead of movement 1, where I've already got fatigue from a press and a fly. So you definitely feel the fatigue mount, especially now being prepped with low food. That fatigue comes on much quicker towards the end of the set. You hit failure quicker. For me anyway, I'll get, say I've got say I fail on 8 reps, I'll get to probably 6 easily, and then the 7th's a bit hard, and then 8th I just hit a wall. That's kind of how it's working. Where in off season you can kind of grind out 3 or 4 reps, and they feel okay, you know. But when fatigue starts to kick in a bit sooner, you know, you're hitting walls pretty much on reps. So that's kind of where we're at. But after this, we've got a cable crossover, and then we move into some arm work. So this is kind of like our last chest builder. You know, I'm still in prep right now. I'm still, you know, when you're starting prep, and the first few weeks, probably the first 5, 6, maybe 7 weeks, you can still probably get away with fighting for those extra reps and looking at this portion of prep as still a growing phase. I'm still looking to do everything I can to maximize tissue growth. Yes, it's going to be slightly lower than in off season because I am in a slight deficit and fatigue's a bit lower, body weight's dropping a bit, but there's still a chance we can add a bit of tissue on in these first couple of weeks. You know, so don't get to the week 1 of prep and think, right, that's building tissue over. You know, time to kind of look at the condition, utilize the first half of the prep to continue working on your growing phase numbers. You know, I'm still going off the back of my off-season numbers from 8, 9, 10 weeks ago. Through the whole health phase, I maintained all my working sets through the off-season. So beginning of prep, you know, we're still working with off-season numbers. And I still want to progress them. Like today, I've progressed every single set so far. You know, the strongest I've been, you know, making new PRs on everything, pretty much. And it's week 3 of prep. So, you know, don't just think, okay, prep started, you know, that's my sign to back off from training. It's not. It's your sign to keep training as hard as you can. It's going to feel a bit harder, because you've got less food and less energy, but that's the whole challenge around prep. You know, that's what you signed up for, you know, is the challenge. And I'm always someone who will look for a challenge wherever I can, and I thrive in a challenge. You know, I thrive in a position where I'm put in deep waters, and you know, I find myself digging deeper and finding ways to dig deeper and finding ways to challenge myself even more, even if I'm not meant to be challenged, I will still try and find something. I still need that challenge ahead. Like in prep, for instance, we just come off a big 13, 14, 15 month off season. You know, food was being pushed as hard as it ever has been, and it was grueling for 15 months. It was pretty hard, you know, pushing 6,000, 7,000 calories every single day. Even, you know, rest day or training day, doesn't matter, high days on top of that. It was difficult, you know, it was a push, but that's what I want from this sport. I want to be put through those difficult challenges for me to then get out on the other side and see, okay, you know, this off season, right, you know, last off season I was 126 kilo, this off season I was 145 kilo. That's the reward I get at the end of an off season for putting my head down and getting on with being in that deep water. So what I was basically trying to get to, when prep starts, food gets reduced. So right now, you know, it feels somewhat easy to get through. just because food is so much lower than it was in the off season. So I did find it a bit difficult to adjust to that. And I was like, I feel like I'm doing absolutely nothing. I feel like I'm eating absolutely nothing. You know, and I've just gone from food being a challenge to it being absolutely easy overnight. So it's a bit of a difficult to adjust, but now I just need to focus more on training. The food takes care of itself. It doesn't even faze me at the moment right now. We focus on training. We focus on progressing for as long as I can. In my last prep, I managed to hold on to numbers and progress where I can for up till about 6 weeks out, and then Luke told me to back off a bit. So we can do that again. I'll be happy. It just, you know, if I can do that and continue to tick off the logbook, it shows me, and I know myself that I have lost very, very, very little amount of muscle tissue during prep if I can hold on to my numbers. I just know that. And obviously, by the look and everything, there's just much less chance of that happening. Now, obviously, I'm assisted, so that also helps, you know, keep on top of the muscle tissue and make sure it's hanging on. But you've also got to have the training in there, the training intensity, to allow your body to keep that muscle tissue and hold on to it. So we'll get into this now. 3 sets. I'll probably film with 3 sets actually, and show you how we get on. So let's go through it again. But cable crossovers, 3 straight sets on here. I think it was 10 to 15, 3 straight sets. So I got 13 on the first set. So, you know, aiming for 13, 13, 13. If I drop off and go 13, 12, 11, I'm not too bothered. As long as, you know, we'll go to failure. So that's what we're doing on here. Last kind of chest movement for today, and then we go into our accessory arm work, so it shouldn't take us too long. Also, with it being prep, after this we've got 25 minutes of cardio and an hour of steps. So 4 sessions a week of cardio, all of it 25 minutes. Steps are at 10k, so I get like 5,000 done on the treadmill in the morning, whether that be after a training day or after cardio, and then I just get 5,000 in through the rest of the day. So fairly easy right now, and cardio, I quite enjoy cardio right now, so probably won't be saying that when it gets to like 45 minutes on a rest day, but you know, I'm like 4 weeks out. But at the moment, you know, my fitness levels are up, so my rest periods in training are actually shorter. I feel like better in training. I'm able to like recover a bit more during sets, and cardio feels a bit better as well. So all around, you know, three weeks into prep, you feel like I was touching on the Smith machine. You get that comfortable feeling. I don't really like it. Things get easier, which I don't like. So we'll see. But we'll get on with this. This will be my second set actually, so we will see how we go. So we saw there 12, very grindy 12, but still made 12, so we'll take it. Which is one rep down from the rep before, which is good. And then we just got one set left on this. So you see me on the D handle tricep extensions. This is our second tricep movement, which is an overhead single arm tricep extension. EZ bar behind me, if you can see. The stack's too light to do double-handed, so we just move in and do single arm work on this, which is fine. Again, 3 sets on here. The rep ranges move down in order of sets, so from 6 to 8 or 8 to 12, I think, all the way to 15 to 20 on the third set. So that is what we're going to do. 3 working sets. Literally, warm-up wise, I just say my top set on here is 180. I'll feel 170 for like 3 or 4 reps. If everything feels good, then we move into the working set. We've literally just done a tricep movement, so this is nothing different. It's just a different, angle. We're just hitting a different head. So we'll get straight into this. And then yeah, we'll see what this is saying for today. Hey. Final movement for us here is the D-handle curl. So on the Silex cable, as you can see here, dual cable. 3 sets on everything, 2 top sets on the back off. Just getting some blood in there. Only 1 movement on here, which is all we do on like a chest day. If you have two triceps, we have 1 bicep, and then on Thursday, which is my delt session, I do 1 tricep, 2 biceps. So that's kind of how I get my arm working during the week. So it kind of evens out quite nicely. You know, a lot of press work is tricep focused anyway. You know, we're going to be using a lot of our triceps in our pressing. Obviously, we're trying to isolate. Obviously, we're trying to isolate the working muscle, but you know, triceps going to come into pressing at some point. So, you know, we just working on it that way, and then, like I said, finish off with some bicep work on here. So, we'll take 3 sets. Probably just show you 1 set first, and then get some posing in. 25 minutes of cardio on the bike, about 50-minute steps, and then we'll go home and eat meal 1. So everything today is done fasted. You know, to give you an insight to why fasted. you know, especially now with being in prep, we're utilising Clen and Incline for cardio, so I still need to be fasted to take that and for it to have its full benefits within cardio. So I take my Clen and Incline now while I've got like my last set to do. I'm going to pose. By the time it gets to cardio, it's about 20 minutes later, which allows Clen and Incline to kick in, and then we do cardio. And then first meal today will probably go in around 1:30, which is pretty late. But I'm not hungry, so you know, I'd rather push it forward. I'm kind of used to that anyway, and do it that way. So last movement for today, guys, and then we'll see you at the end for a little outro. So yeah, that wraps us up for today. Day 1 of week 3 underway. I think the split is staying pretty much exactly the same throughout the whole of prep. We might add in, I'll just change the mics on. Might add in an arm day to make it 5 days, but I'm still just on the 4-day training split for now. It's working. I feel like I'm getting, you know, I think 5 days would be a bit much right now. I think once my fitness starts to get really good, when I start to get leaner, much leaner, then maybe incorporating another day will be fine. But I'm still fairly heavy, so you know, recovery is on the edge of where it could be. But probably for a little arm session or something. You know, it will just be probably another day where I'll have cardio to do. So tagging on like a little arm session or something will be good at that point. I will start to add in ab work as well in a few weeks. So maybe every other day, maybe every rest day, some abs. Just to kind of get them ticked over, because I don't really touch them in the off season. You know, majority of my compound work is building that abdominal. So to do some, you know, direct abdominal work during prep is always a good sign, always a good thing to do. It's only going to bring out more detail in your abs and bring out some more separation. So that's kind of what the idea is behind that. If I was to add it in prep, so but that's cool. Tomorrow's legs. I need to kind of redeem myself for legs tomorrow. I had a little niggle in my adductor last week, which was a pain in the arse. I'm still in the mood about it, to be honest, and have been all week. So, you know, coming tomorrow and redeem myself, get a good session in there. You know, make sure that everything's been ticked off in that sense. I need to be mindful of the adductor. Obviously, I don't want to injure it more, and then at the same time, I don't want to push it over the edge. So, you know, hip press in the off season got up to 8.5 plates. The reality of things right now with this adductor niggle is I can't really go in tomorrow and chase that, because I'm probably going to tear it. You know, you got to think about the drop in body weight, the drop in food, not able to brace as hard, as well as your little adductor pull into the hip. You know, there's too many things that could go wrong with that. So I'm going to do a lot of like close stance work tomorrow for compounds. See how I get on with that, and make sure that I'm not using my adductor to actually like press the load, and actually use my quads. So, because I think by the end of the off season, I think that's kind of what I was maybe doing. Not a bad thing, because we also need to just build the legs overall, you know, and I always need more adductors. So, but I think I was predominantly using my adductors to move the load in the last few weeks, and then the last 2 weeks it's just been a bit niggly and a bit awkward. So we'll see how tomorrow goes. I will do a leg session at some point, but I don't want to do a leg session where I'm kind of like, tomorrow I need to focus, and I don't really want to be distracted by having to talk between sets. So once I'm in a good place with legs, I'll get the camera out, film the session. But for now, just working on myself and what I need to do. You know, I've got about 16 leg sessions before the first show. You know, sounds like a lot, but it's gonna go fucking quickly. Once we get like the depths of prep, it's gonna go pretty quickly. So, but we will leave it there, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you took something from today. That's kind of always what I want to get out of these videos. It's not just me sharing my journey, which is obviously a main part of the reason why I'm doing it, but it's also to give you guys, maybe guys who are just getting into training, or you know, decent amateurs who are training, give you some ideas of what's going on. Obviously, I'm not trying to rewrite the book. I'm doing, you know, I base my training a lot off old school, you know, what worked back then, worked today kind of stuff, intensity, you know, everything. So kind of old school, but you know, I don't really like this new school approach where everyone's doing, you know, 1 or 2 plates on a single arm lat pull down for their main compound. It doesn't work, and they're going to find out soon enough that why am I growing? What's the reason for it? And it's the training, you know. So keep things simple, keep things heavy, keep things intense. You're going to grow. So we'll leave it there, guys. We appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you next week.